Psychologists used to believe homosexuality was caused by nurture, namely overbearing mothers and distant fathers. But that theory has been disproved. Today, scientists are looking at genes, environment, brain structure, hormones. There's one area of consensus that homosexuality involves more than just sexual behavior. It's physiological. Michael Bailey, a psychology professor at Northwestern University, is a leading researcher in the field of sexual orientation. They've grown up in the same house. They've been treated the same way.
To me, cases like that really scream out, hey, it's not out there, it's in here. There's no indication that this mother is prone to raise very feminine boys because his twin is not that way.
So you don't think it's nurture?
I don't think that nurture is a plausible explanation.
Bailey and his colleagues have set up a series of experiments in his lab at Northwestern. Is the conclusion that gay people do, in fact, move differently?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like me, more often than not, the volunteers in the study could tell who was gay and who wasn't. Not true 100% of the time. It is true on average. They also studied the way gay and straight people talk.
Hi, it's nice to meet you. Would you like to have a drink?
Sounds straight to me.
And he is straight.
Hi, it's nice to meet you. Do you want to go have a drink?
Gay. This research is controversial, reinforcing the stereotypes, some say. But to Bailey, the stereotype suggests there's a feminizing of the brain in gay men and masculinizing in lesbians. But how and when does this feminizing occur? If the differences were already apparent in childhood, that would point to an early, perhaps even genetic origin. And that's what Bailey and Rieger are testing in a new study using childhood home movies. If you can spot a child's future sexual orientation before he even knows he has one, doesn't that prove it's genetic? Studies have shown that homosexuality runs in families, so genes must be the answer. But then the researchers tell you identical twins can have different sexual orientations. Does this prove that it's not genetic?
What it proves is it's not completely genetic. They have the same genes.
So does that bring us back to the mother and the father?
No.
But that's environment.
That's environment, but that's not the only environment. There's also the environment that happens to us while we're in the womb. And scientists are realizing that environment is much more important than we ever thought it was.
The differing sexual orientation of identical twins allows us to investigate one of science's most controversial questions. Are people born gay? Celso and Jesus were raised by the same parents in the same household, so they shared the same environment at a crucial time in their personal development. In the general population, the chance of someone being gay is less than 5%, unless you have a gay twin. Then the chances are much higher. If you are fraternal, sharing half your genes, there's nearly a 25% chance that you will also be gay. If you are identical, sharing all your genes, there's about a 50% chance you will also be gay. This suggests that there must be some genetic component to our sexuality. But it can't all be up to genes. Otherwise, every identical pair would either be both gay or both straight. Some other factor must be at play. In their first few weeks, all fetuses develop along similar lines. If nothing changed, each one of us would be born female. Fetuses with the male Y chromosome will form testes at about week 6 that produce the hormone testosterone. But at about the 8th week, the testosterone is released and may affect early brain development. Testosterone masculinizes the body. It also masculinizes the brain, including the hypothalamus, which partially controls who we find sexually attractive. Some scientists believe that the more the hypothalamus is exposed to testosterone, the more it sets the stage for a sexual inclination toward women. Occasionally, a male fetus doesn't produce sufficient testosterone, or its brain doesn't absorb enough to shape it along heterosexual lines. If this theory is correct, then it may be that Celso absorbed enough testosterone to masculinize his body, but not enough to fully differentiate his brain. As a result, he was left with a desire for men. Many mysteries remain, but twins like Celso and Jesus play a crucial role in informing scientists about how and when sexuality develops. Epigenetics reveals that even if their DNA code is the same, the way it functions can differ. The human genome contains around 25,000 genes, each with its own specific function, like producing energy or directing cell division. Now, geneticists are investigating a previously unknown aspect of the genome called the epigenome. A series of chemicals that act like switches are capable of activating or deactivating individual genes. One of these switches works by a process called DNA methylation. Enzymes inside a cell attach a minuscule molecular compound, a methyl group, to a gene. This compound can deactivate or at times activate the gene, but the gene itself remains. The cell's DNA profile is unchanged. The activation and deactivation of genes during early development could explain many twists of fate that affect us all. Why one person is struck by disease and another is spared. Epigenetics may also play a significant role in determining sexuality. If sexual preference is associated with an unidentified gene, it may be that the epigenetic suppression or activation of this gene dictates sexual preference. These genetic switches may be the answer to why one twin absorbs more testosterone than the other, resulting in one being gay and the other straight. It's becoming clear that our health, personality, tastes, and even appearance aren't the product of our genes or our environment, but that nature and nurture are inextricably bound, with epigenetics the biological link between the two. This 5-week milestone could be another stage where identical twins develop key differences before they're even born.
Dr. Mark Breedlove at Michigan State University says he can take this male rat and make it behave like a female for the rest of its life and vice versa for a female just by altering the hormones it's exposed to right at birth. Because rats are born underdeveloped, that's roughly the same as altering a third trimester human fetus in the womb. He gave this female rat a single shot of the male sex hormone testosterone at birth. Now grown up, she will never perform lordosis. But this male rat will. Take a look. He was castrated at birth, depriving him of testosterone. So you created a gay rat.
I wouldn't say that these are gay rats, but I will say that these are genetic male rats who are showing much more feminine behavior.
So this could be the answer to the genetic question. It may not be genes. It could be hormones.
That's exactly the question that we're all wondering, this business of testosterone having such a profound influence. Does that have some relevance to you?
Other scientists are looking for patterns in statistics. And hard as this is to believe, they have found something they call the older brother effect.
The more older brothers a man has, the greater that man's chance of being gay.
Demonstrated in study after study. And the numbers are significant.